Karine Jean-Pierre, oh, look at her and her fluffy head. Isn't she something else? Karine Jean-Pierre is giving a press conference yesterday, and a reporter asked a pretty salient question, a very important one, in fact. Is there concern here at the White House over the rise of anti-Semitism? And we've all seen the rise of anti-Semitism globally since the terrorist attacks in Israel. Not just obviously that heinous act, the deadliest attack on Jews since the Holocaust. Think about that for a minute. But also in major cities in Western Europe and here in the United States of America on college campuses. There's a concern here that every American has sort of been shocked by over the last couple of weeks. But Karine Jean-Pierre, she's got the answer.
Level of concern right now about the potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel?
So a couple of things. We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats.
Now, this is a great moment. If anybody observes a press secretary, spokesperson, this is a great moment. You see she's thumbing for her notes here. So they were prepared for this question. It's a great moment to say, all right, first of all, everyone should know that we haven't seen any credible threats. However, we have grave concerns over the rhetoric that we've seen on college campuses. We have grave concerns about certain people in cities marching and chanting things that are intrinsically anti-Semitic, showing outward displays of hatred toward Jews. See, that's what we expected to hear at this moment, right? This is a great opportunity to pivot and say, no, we don't have any credible information about potential anti-Semitic hate crimes. However, this is what we are seeing and we're worried about it. That's what she should have done. Here's what she did do.
And so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks.
What?
And certainly President Biden understands that many of our Muslim, Arab Americans and Palestinian American loved ones and neighbors are worried about the hate being directed at their communities. And that is something you heard the president speak to in his address.
I'm sorry, I can't. So she has a question about the rising concern of anti-Semitism here in America on college campuses, in city streets. And she says, we don't have a credible threat, but what's really worrying us is the rising level of hate crimes against Muslims and Muslim Americans. What is she talking about? I mean, literally, what is she talking about? Have you seen that? I haven't seen that. Yashar Ali, who is a reporter and a man of the left, actually pointed out the fact that this is a curious thing to say, considering in July, Karine Jean-Pierre, with the same fluffy hair, said this.
The administration's new plan to counter anti-Semitism, as you all know, this past May, we announced a very comprehensive, once-of-a-kind anti-Semitism plan, which we think is incredibly important at this.
So in May and then repeated again in July, it was very important to have a comprehensive plan against anti-Semitism because clearly there was a concern back then. And now, after this terror attack, and after seeing what we've seen on the streets of our cities and at college campuses, now there's no concern. In fact, the real concern is hate toward Muslim Americans. Listen, we're not in favor of hate toward anybody, but to pivot on that question and make it really about so-called Muslim hate crimes, it's beyond offensive. Now, Karine Jean-Pierre saw that this left-wing journalist, Yashar Ali, had pointed this out, and she took to X.com to post her response. To be clear, by the way, every time they say to be clear, you know that they're about to lie to you. And you know that they got caught in a real mistake. To be clear, the president and our team are very concerned about a rise in anti-Semitism, especially after the horrific Hamas terrorist attack in Israel. Well, then why didn't you say that? She literally expressed no concern when asked specifically if she had any concern. So do you believe her? Do you believe them that this is what they're really concerned about? And just to hammer things home, this happened in Brooklyn just last night.
Intifada, Intifada. Long live the Intifada.
That's Brooklyn, New York. Long live the Antifada. And also saying only one solution. This comes from Eli Klein, who is, as you can see, an art dealer and a publisher in New York. He doesn't have a vested interest in this. He's not a journalist. He's not a politician. He's not in the media. He says, just came home to hundreds of people outside of my apartment in New York City calling for intifada. Given recent events may well be considered a call for the mass murder of Jews. Never did I expect to see this kind of open anti-Semitism so close to home. Oh, but Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre, they're really concerned about the rising tide of Muslim hate crimes. Then also, literally just an hour after Karine Jean-Pierre said this at the White House, here we are in Skokie, Illinois. You see that gentleman there, openly by appearances, Jewish American, observant Orthodox Jewish American. You see people carrying Palestinian flags with their faces covered, tackling a young man who was with that elderly Jewish man and beating the crap out of him. Oh, but our main concern is the rising tide of Muslim hate crimes directed at Muslim Americans. Meanwhile, in the you can't make it up category, the Babylon Bee is actually in the business of making things up. They're the greatest satire website on the planet. And this was their headline. In strong response to rising hate crimes against Jews, Democrats denounce Islamophobia. Little echoes of Norm Macdonald there, isn't it? Here's the real funny thing. According to the managing editor of Babylon Bee, they had that written the night before and then woke up to see the White House doing exactly what they were parodying in their satire website. We're living in the Babylon Bee's world.